Hey friends! So as my sister-in-law is trying on a really beautiful sweater here in Milan, I thought I would record this message because I was going to write it, but it has to come out now. So I figured instead of trying to live stream and having it work, maybe potentially not work, why not just record it as a video and share it? So it's probably, not a big surprise to most of you. I love and I'm so inspired by travel and expression of all kinds. We're talking fashion, which there's a couple of the shops we were just in, fashion, when I hear someone powerful speaking, expression in the way that somebody does their hair, or, potentially the sort of like unique words or the unique sort of body language that they have when they're really passionate about something. And as I'm here in Milan, I started to think about this idea of the mask coming off. Essentially the mask, that most of us wear in life, meaning the mask that we normally, the mask that we essentially don, the mask that we grow over time, as from the time that we are little kids. And basically the mask that we, from the time, let's see, for me it was probably, probably early 20s when I started to realize that there was this idea of a mask, meaning, this persona, this personality, this idea of the you, the idea of you, as you think it is best seen or understood or accepted in society. And I feel like, most of us end up trying to take off that mask little by little by little as we grow older, and really essentially start to live our lives, the way that they were meant to be lived. So being in full expression of who we are. And seeing as this is, the work that I do in the world, meaning since I was 21, I've worked in advertising. It was always about expression. I left the advertising business after 8.5 years and started, the branding company, where I focused specifically for the first sort of couple years on design work. And then I started doing more consulting and freelance work at places like Nike, etc. And then I obviously, started MGI, which focuses on branding for women entrepreneurs, success coaching, really empowerment, under the umbrella of empowerment, which is why MGI is called a branding, coaching, and empowerment agency. But so this idea of the mask was really interesting to me because I was sitting next to, on our last leg from London to, I'm going to chill right here, the last leg from London to Milan, I sat next to these two lovely older ladies, and it made me think about the work that I do at hospice mostly every week, and how I've noticed that for the patients that I get to hang out with and befriend, that for the patients who are speaking and not sort of in their last weeks or days, how apparent it is that they are taking and have taken off that mask in a really big way, meaning they say what it is that they want to say, they express themselves, they tell you when they like something, they tell you when they don't like something, and there is this, again, this judgment that maybe clouded their expression before, is just, you can just feel it, you can hear it, you can see it, it's not there. It's just not there anymore. Especially I think with, most of the patients I see, of course, are terminal, at some point, terminal. So it could be months, it could be weeks. So there's this, there's this idea, or excuse me, not an idea, but there's this feeling inside of them that is not just so much about having lived a long life and having realized that taking off this mask of who we thought we needed to be and just being ourselves feels so much better. And not only that, but imagine knowing that you do have a terminal illness and you have 4 months left, or you have a maximum of 6 months left, or whatever it is. So it's been beautiful to watch, again, through this hospice work, how this idea of taking off a mask, how, you know, and I don't, you know, it may not be for all of us, but how so many of us in society talk about how we're so much more comfortable in our skin the older we get, you know. I remember being in, I think, my 20s and hearing for the first time someone who was in their 40s say, oh yeah, when I got to be in my 40s, I just said what it was that I wanted to say, and I just lived the way I wanted to live, essentially, right? And so I wanted to talk about that, because imagine, and I'm so glad I didn't write this on Facebook, because this is so much better. This is really touching at the heart and the soul of the message I wanted to share. Imagine if we lived a life where we found only the people, or maybe not only, but that we found the people, that we found the places. You know, as I look around at Milan, and I'll share a story about this in relation to me and my sort of history with taking off the mask in a second. But imagine if we found the people, the places, the experiences that allowed us to every single day more and more only care about expressing more of all of us. Because when we express more of all of us, we live more of our lives. We're way happier. And, you know, the point really is that judgments are none of our business. Meaning, you know, be all of the silly self, be all of the spiritual self, be all of the sensual self, be all of you. Because I mean, this is it. And when I say this is it, I mean, this is it, as if this is one of the keys of living a life that feels so freaking good. And, you know, I think of my sort of evolution of taking off the mask. And I think, you know, the reason I wanted to do this video here in Milan right now is because for me, travel has always allowed me to continue to take off the mask. You know, think of any trip you've ever taken, and don't you just feel so alive, number one, but don't you just feel so alive because you could essentially sort of be anyone you want, meaning you could be, again, the biggest expression of your spiritual self. You could be the biggest expression of your fashionista self, of your whatever, fill in the blank, your silly self, your crazy, you know, again, you can wear all the crazy clothes you want to wear, right? I'm wearing these, like, how cool are these leggings, by the way? They're aloe leggings. One of my dear friends owns that brand, and just the best clothes. But, you know, when we travel, it's like, it's a time where inside, I feel like our soul knows it's available for us, meaning this idea of reinvention, this idea of fully expressing who we are. And, you know, when I think of the first time that I started to feel that I well, A, wanted, and B, was able to start taking off this mask of what society, or of who society wanted me to be, was when I was 16. And I went to France and I lived there for a month. I would say the second time that's really etched in my memory, that I remember sort of taking off another layer of this mask, kind of like another layer of the onion, is when I was 21 and I went to Madrid. And then I would say again at 27 when I moved to Amsterdam. And here's what I thought every single time. And I remember saying to Josh, my husband, I remember saying to him when we lived in Amsterdam, I said something to the effect of, honey, I am so happy that we did this together, because I can be whoever I want here. I can be as creative as I want. I can be as loud as I want. Nobody knows me. Nobody expects me to be anything. I can just be myself. And I remember I was about 2 years into my business, and I remember feeling so amazing because I just felt like I could, you know, and not that I wasn't going to feel this way in the States, but I know that I wasn't going to feel to the degree that I did in Amsterdam. I knew that in the States, I wasn't going to sort of feel that connection to my fullest creativity, or to, again, my fullest expression, and really allowing myself to just be who I was. It was so amazing to walk around Amsterdam and, again, look left, look right, and know I wasn't going to run into a friend or a cousin or anyone. And again, I could reinvent. I could be the biggest expression of me possible, and it was just so fun. I felt so free and so amazing. And so it's a beautiful thing to experience when we're traveling. But how could we bring that? How can we bring that flavor? How can we bring that flavor? How can we bring that evolution? How can we bring that artistry of ourselves and that expression into our everyday when we're not traveling? And again, judgment is not our business. Being ourselves is our business. Everything else is everyone else's business. And so that's the message that I really, wanted to impart. And, when I think of what that does, when we can model that for our children, the youngest humans to be rising up to express who they really are. That to me, of course, there's great value in doing it for ourselves. And how amazing, right? How amazing to do this for our children, to have them see that all of us, that there is no putting the governor on who we are, meaning all of us is who we're supposed to express. All of us is who we get to express. And whether that is in Milan or in Amsterdam or, down the street from your school or at school or wherever it is, that it's, that's our job, that is the very thing that, that we are being called to do in this life. And how exciting that is, so I know that's something that I love to show Nolan, as wherever we are, at home or traveling, having him see that sometimes I am dancing in the middle of the street. Other times I'm doing videos like this and people are walking by and watching me. But, life is actually very similar. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Life is so similar to yoga, or the principle of yoga, which a lot of you guys know. I've been doing yoga for a long time, for 12 years. And I'm actually certified as a yoga teacher, and really went deep into yoga philosophy. And essentially, one of the principles in yoga is that you could essentially sit on the loudest corner in Milan doing yoga, and you could just shut your mind, sort of, shut the world off, not care what's happening left and right of you, and just be you, meaning just be in that moment. And not worry about, again, if people are walking by and going, what the heck is she doing? Walking down the street and recording herself. So here's to expression. Here's to being anonymous, sort of feeling anonymous in a way in our lives, and using sort of that hack, if you will, using sort of this way and feeling that we feel when we're traveling. Let's use that in our everyday lives. That's when the everyday life is not routine. That is when the everyday life feels so amazing and free. So with that, here's to making happiness your business by creating your brand of woman. Take care.